DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. This week's motivation, I'm going to tell y'all a story, a parable, a folk tale that I heard. There was once this guy who owned a farm, and he had all these chickens on his farm. And for whatever reason, it became like this one year, one season, there was a whole lot of rain. Heavy rain kept coming down on his farm. It would kind of flood the farm. It would create little lakes in his farm because it was so much rain. And he had all these chickens on his farm. So when the first time that it rained crazy, all these lakes were created on his farm, and all the chickens drowned because it was so much water. It wasn't crazy amount like sweep your house away, sweep a person away, but you gotta think little chickens, they were drowning in the water. So all his chickens drowned. So he goes to one of his friends in a nearby farm, and he's telling him the story like, damn, you know, all my chickens drowned in the farm. Then it drowned in the flood or drowned in the rain. Then about a month later, it rains crazy again. All his chickens drowned again. He goes to his friend again. He's talking to him. He's telling him, hey, all my chickens drowned in this rain all over again. He went and got more chickens, and the chickens drowned in the rain again. So he's losing money because the chickens, you know, they lay eggs. He can't eat. His family can't eat because sometimes when the chickens get old, they kill the chickens so they can eat them. So all his business is going down the drain because his chickens keep drowning in the rain. Then the third time, this happens again. He goes and gets more chickens. His chickens drown all over again. He goes to his friend. He's telling his friend, yo, my chickens drowned for the third time this year in all this damn rain. And finally his friend responds. His friend says, man, why don't you just buy yourself some ducks? Now I want y'all to understand, I think all y'all understand the basic premise of this is that chickens can't swim, but ducks can swim. So when it rains hard, the ducks will be able to swim in the water, and they'll thrive in it rather than die in it. What I want all of you to understand, the metaphor, the reason I'm telling you this story is this. Yes, you have your goals. Yes, you have the things that you wish to achieve. Yes, you have the things you've been working on your game to get to, whether they're personal, whether they're athletic, whether they're business. One thing that all of you need to understand, you have to develop your critical thinking, your discernment skills to understand that even though you have a certain goal, if for whatever reason you realize that the strategy that you're using to get to the goal is not getting you closer to it, maybe it's getting you further away, or maybe it's causing you to spin your wheels, it means you're putting out a lot of energy but you're not actually making any progress, then you might need to change the strategy. See, you understand with the farmer, he didn't shut down his whole farm. He didn't quit the farming business. All he did was change the chickens out for ducks, because the strategy, the ducks could survive in the water whereas the chickens could not. So all he did was change his strategy. He was still a farmer. He was still doing his business. I don't know if he started eating duck instead of chicken, or he started selling duck eggs instead of chicken eggs. I don't know. I don't know the rest of the story. But all you understand exactly what I'm saying. You might need to change your strategy up a little bit. You might need to change one of your tactics a little bit. And what you have to understand is it might only be one piece. It might just be one small piece of what you're doing, or one piece period, that makes a huge difference in the result that you get when you start to examine your strategy, see what is actually helping and what is actually not helping. See, when you look around at the strategy of things that you're doing, you might be doing 10 different things to try to reach one goal, but it might be 9 things that you're doing perfectly, but that one thing that you're doing wrong is going to keep you from reaching the goal. And if you change that one thing, all of a sudden you're going to get all this success in a year that you couldn't get in 10 years. Because you changed that one little piece in your strategy. So the challenge for all of you is you got to be able to look at what you're doing, look at the actions you're taking, and look at the results that are coming from those actions, and be able to discern what is working, what is actually helping you get there, and what is not helping you. What is slowing you down and what is speeding you up. What you should continue to do more of and what you need to do less of, what you need to completely eliminate. That's something that you need to examine your own. You need to examine your own actions. You need to examine your own workouts. You need to examine your work habits. You need to examine your thought habits. You need to examine how you deal with other people. You need to examine your study habits, how you're running your business. You need to examine those things so you can see what's working and what's not working. Because if you just change the chickens out for ducks when it rains, all of a sudden you got yourself a hell of a business. But you got to understand, you might have to have somebody else, some other set of eyes look at it and say, hey, why don't you just switch out those chickens for ducks? But if you ain't got another set of eyes, you got to be that set of eyes. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. What could you not do with more confidence? Less attention to the negativity of other people, more focus on your goals than nothing else, and not letting unfortunate circumstances slow you down. Would all of those help you out? Well, go to DreAllDay.com/bulletproof. Check out my new 8-week course called Bulletproof Mindset. Get started, and I'll see you over there. Work on your If you're on Snapchat, hit me on the Snap. My Snap name is @Dre Baldwin. You already know how that works. And I got a podcast, if you didn't know. It is called Work on Your Game. It is an everyday podcast where I talk about getting yourself into the right mindset, that bulletproof mindset. Getting yourself seen, heard, known. Getting the exposure you want and making things happen in your life instead of waiting for things to happen to or for you. Subscribe to that podcast when you're on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Make sure you check it every single day. Make sure you're subscribed so you catch the heat. Work on your game.
Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball. I feel like Dre Ball.